It's very rare that I come across a new game that I feel surprised by. I feel like most of the time, games become oversaturated with their marketing and advertising, leaving very little mystery when they finally release. Especially when it comes to AAA titles releasing too many trailers for the story, the gameplay, the characters, the music, etc, etc. It seems like it never ends. Look, I totally get why they do it. There are hundreds of new games coming out every day, and the chances of somebody randomly coming across yours, let alone buying it, is very low. However, once in a blue moon, we get treated to a new game that completely catches us off guard. I feel like I haven't had this experience since I first played the alpha version of Minecraft or even Skyrim, but over the past month, I am extremely excited to tell you that there's a new game that somehow sparked the same sense of wonder that these games once gave me. That's why today we're going to be talking about my latest obsession, Valheim. Obviously, this game is no hidden gem. It's sold over 5 million copies since its early release about a month ago, but I went into this game completely blind with a few friends and zero expectations. So is it worth taking a chance on a game that I knew nothing about? Is Valheim worthy of making gaming history, or is it just another viral hit that will burn out in the next month? We are going to be discussing all that and more as I review Valheim. So, what is Valheim even about? Well, first off, it's a survival sandbox game taking place during the era of Vikings. Like Minecraft, there isn't quite an overall goal to achieve other than the goals you set for yourself. Sure, there are tons of huge boss battles to tackle, fortresses to build, and mysteries to uncover, but for the most part, achieving these milestones is totally up to you. I won't be going into any spoilers / endgame territory with my review, and the only reason for that is that I think this game is best played when entered blindly. I can't speak for anybody else who has heard about it first and then played, but discovering all of the hidden mysteries that Valheim holds is one of its greatest strengths. There were so many times that I felt like I was finally getting a grasp on how things worked in this game, and shortly after, I would find something new that just gave me more questions than answers. First of all, the map is ridiculously big. After clocking in just about 30 hours so far, this is the amount of area that I've actually discovered. That might look pretty small to you, but traveling from the furthest point of what I've seen to the other directly would take you probably around 45 minutes. Each map is a random seed, but the developers program the procedurally generated landscapes in a way that the further you leave the center, the more foreign and difficult traversing becomes. I haven't even come close to the edge of the world yet, but I can already tell you that it's probably not going to be easy. Apparently there are 10 different biomes to discover, but so far I've only seen 3, which makes me incredibly excited for what's to come next. Also, all of these locations are extremely beautiful, and the simplistic graphical design works perfectly. To quote my friend Apox Penguin, he said, "I thought this game was gonna suck because it looked bad, but I learned to love it." I completely agree with him. In fact, I think Valheim might be one of the most attractive games I've seen. The simple graphics takes me back to playing Ocarina of Time, and it just gives me this nostalgic feeling that old GameCube titles used to give me. Anyways, Valheim drops you off, quite literally, with nothing. In pure Minecraft fashion, it's up to you to start punching some trees and decide where you're gonna spend your first night. My friends and I made this little shack on stilts by the water and crammed everything we could inside. We didn't know it yet, but this small safe haven will become a bustling town, and we'll end up calling it home. At first, building in Valheim felt very complicated to get used to. There were tons of different crafting menus to sort through, and the built-in collapsing mechanic made it difficult to fully grasp. However, after a few days of playing, the controls became very easy to understand. There are tons of possibilities when it comes to what you build as well. The tools you are given are fun and intuitive, plus it feels like the cycle of going to collect materials and then building with them is perfectly balanced. It isn't all sunshine and rainbows though, literally. There's a weather mechanic in the game that will slowly wear down your structures every time a storm rolls in, and the act of repairing everything after it rains can get pretty frustrating. There is a way to prevent this from happening by adding roofs to your builds, but for a structure like this where a roof would ruin the whole vibe, there's really nothing you can do. Still a minor complaint, but hopefully they add more ways to prevent this from happening in a future update. Let's talk a little bit about the combat. Battling in Valheim is a lot less surface level than I expected it to be for a survival game. Of course, you could craft a plethora of different weapons ranging from swords, to spears, to warhammers, and even bows and arrows. The further you progress and collect new resources for crafting, the stronger weapons you can create. This is all pretty basic stuff that you come to expect, but what surprised me was how different each weapon can be of use in different scenarios. A sword and shield is great for up-close, fast-paced combat, but you would probably want to put some distance between you and your target in certain situations. Some enemies can poison you, so ranged weapons like bows and spears are perfect for social distancing. There's also a parrying mechanic that lets you stagger certain monsters and get some critical hits, and at times when you need it most, rolling can be helpful for quick escapes. What makes Valheim so challenging for casual players, however, is the stamina gauge. This depletes every time you perform an attack, and once it reaches the bottom, you're kinda screwed. I was forced to learn very early on that I had to keep an eye on my stamina at all times, because if I didn't, I may just be too tired to run away from a dangerous situation. Luckily, your stamina can be upgraded, and it becomes less of a nuisance. Although these are all mechanics that are common nowadays in gaming, it's nice to see how fleshed out they are in Valheim, especially when entering a boss battle. Part of the journey through progression in Valheim is the hunt for the many bosses scattered throughout the world. To awaken the mythical beasts that haunt the land, you have to solve riddles. I know that sounds pretty tacky, but they always feel extremely satisfying when you finally figure them out. Without going too far in depth so I don't spoil anything, the answers to these puzzles are consistently fun to get to the bottom of. And so far, my friends and I have never needed to resort to just looking the answers up. That's just the start though. I was a bit concerned that boss battles would feel kind of lackluster, as most survival games handle them that way, but in the case of Valheim, they are always nothing short of epic. Yeah, they can get pretty difficult at times, but if you plan ahead and make sure you're fully prepared, nothing can stop you and your army of Vikings. There are tons of other stories I could tell you from my experience playing Valheim. There are so many mysteries to solve, battles to overcome, and uncharted lands to discover. But if I were to tell you any more, I think I may be ruining an experience that you might just fall in love with. Valheim is a special game, and I have never felt so surprised playing a new title in years. For those reasons alone, I'm going to give Valheim a score of 9 out of 10. Now go try this game for yourself. It's great to support smaller developers making great games like this, and I think it might just have some surprises for you as well. Thanks a ton for watching, make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more reviews like this one. As always, keep gaming to the fullest, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.